Erika from RxA, and I'm here today to talk about managing data assets. This feature specifically focuses on governance in Domo. Now, before you click away expecting another lecture on data security, I want to let you know that this is just a high-level overview of the mapping between features and how they interact with each other. As you know, data is both a competitive advantage and a risk to your company. Data is an asset, and data can be stolen or simply left exposed. Adobe, eBay, Equifax, Heartland Payment Systems, LinkedIn, Marriott International. These are just a few companies in the past decade that have experienced a data breach. So there is a point to all the white papers and security features that get marketed to you by different BI tools and software companies. There's also a fear that stems from the amount of content and warnings that are provided, and the overall lack of truly understanding how security protocols and access are set up and maintained. If a tool markets all the security features you think you need, but your organization or team is faced with the challenge of making sure all the pieces line up, you're going to spend a lot of time making sure that implementation is a success. If you are tasked with managing yet another BI tool, you are likely not able to fully dig into the details. And without a comprehensive understanding or picture, security audits can be met with fear, and you may end up calling it quits on a tool. And that's truly a shame, especially when it comes to business intelligence and BI tools. I mean, security information, that's business intelligence and analytics around your security, it's here. We're not just in the big data era. We are part of the big data security era. And a BI tool's success or failure should be dependent on if the tool is helping your organization make better decisions, not because of lengthy documentation. So that's where our story begins. Understanding how different security features interact in Domo. Now, for some of you that may not know, Domo is a software company in Utah that specializes in BI tools and data visualization. It's one of the many BI tools I've worked with, and I'll have to say it's one of the easiest ones to integrate and transform data and then create a dashboard very quickly. I would define the tool as a more holistic platform. That means that you can bring the data into the tool, clean it, transform it, combine it, and then make some pretty awesome visualizations. Its ease of use is really what sets Domo apart for me. Domo has great content on their security, compliance, and privacy requirements for customers. And I enjoy learning about the administrative and security roles and features that they offer. Yes, it might not be as exciting as the front end and showy dashboards, but behind the curtain is rather sleek. When I was learning more about their security features, I found that mapping it out was helpful for me to understand it and also then to better explain the interactions. The term dynamic is actually used as an official title for some of the features, but it's also used to describe the ability to have rules that can change and adapt. It's not confusing when you line it up, but it can make conversations with your executive team a little difficult. Many leaders have accepted their black box fate, where they're okay with not knowing all of the details or were simply told they don't need to. And that's generally okay. It is concerning, though, when you are presenting on data security and there are no questions, or worse, the fear of even asking a question. I created this map to help answer some of my questions. I know about Domo roles, groups, attributes, and dataset governance with pub groups and PDPs, but individually, not how they actually work together. So I broke it down to see these 4 security features. I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of each, and hopefully make these features and overall security mapping a little more approachable. So let's start with number 1 on the graph, or security role assignments. Domo has 5 main default roles with associated rights or grants. Custom roles can be created where you copy a default role and you can be a little pickier on which rights they should have. These security roles primarily focus on the access of viewing and creating cards. That is more of your participant and editor roles of read versus read-write. Privileged and admin have elevated rights, allowing for the addition of adding new members, administering other aspects of the instance, and so on. Think of security roles as what users can do in their Domo instance. So let's continue to our second feature now, which is groups. Let's expand this a little bit, and we're going to see them side by side with a little bit more detail. The first part I want to highlight is where groups are managed. Say your company wants to utilize single sign-on for accessing Domo. Directory groups are imported through a single sign-on, and they are managed through your organization's Active Directory. The benefit of using SSO really comes down to the downstream impact and overall maintenance of your instance. It's why I kept attributes and the dataset governance features on this view. Directory groups themselves do not allow for nesting, but admins can bundle attributes from directory groups in dynamic groups. And this is a very scalable way to manage your permissions and PDP policies. It scales for company growth, and it scales for Domo user growth. So since you now have a preview of dynamic groups, let's talk about the setup. Dynamic groups are created through defined membership criteria that are dependent on any or all conditions being met. So they can take attributes or other criteria passed through to create a group whose department is, let's say, sales, and put them in this dynamic group called sales team. This sales team group would then isolate the pages relevant and appropriate for the sales team to use and provide access to those members. Say Joe from sales moves into a marketing role. His department in Active Directory would then change, and he would automatically be placed in the marketing team dynamic group. I'm going to go back now one step to system groups. System groups are owned and maintained by Domo. They show all the groups in your Domo instance associated with a security role and also the grant. An example of a system group would be the role of an editor, role participant, a grant to use alerts, or a grant to edit cards, and so on. Again, this is owned and maintained by Domo. Let's hop over now to closed groups. Closed groups are considered these full accountability groups. They have specified members, and any changes to closed groups are shown in activity logs. I have found that closed groups are ideal to create around sensitive content. Think of HR or payroll data on dashboards. I want to directly specify who sees it and also closely monitor this usage. Open groups are the exact opposite of closed groups. It's a social group that is ideal for broadly sharing content or even generating buzz conversations. And to close our section on groups, there may or may not be ad hoc groups in your Domo instance. Ad hoc groups are legacy groups that were created in Domo before open, closed, and dynamic groups were even created. So I want to start wrapping up with our third feature of attributes. Now, although we have the map where directory groups are feeding attributes, I want to note that trusted attributes can be set directly in Domo or then supplied by your identity service. So if I remove the directory groups from the map, you will see that attributes can stand alone. Again, attributes can be set directly in Domo. Locked or checked attributes can be used for these dynamic groups and PDP policies by specifying user profile information. Let's think about our example with Joe in sales and then moving to marketing. The trusted or locked attribute of department can be used to create that dynamic group. It can also be used to specify data governance measures like the personalized data permissions. If you are a Domo user today, perhaps one of the most important things to remember is the administrative governance around creating the attributes, especially if you are setting them up without SSO and selecting the locked attributes that your organization wants to use. Finally, our last security feature that we're going to cover is DataSec governance. The publication group feature is available on demand. This is ideal for a viewer audience. You administer at the page level, and it can also be set with an organization's single sign-on. Publication groups prohibit external pub group users from Domo's buzz feature or interacting with other Domo users. It's a very targeted and page-based approach. PDPs are ideal when you have more of this creator audience. You want the members to build cards and have access to some of the data. It's administered at the data level, and it's Domo's recommendation for 95% of data sharing cases. There are 3 types of filters for PDP policies. You will notice that dynamic filters and PDPs let you filter by that user attribute. And that's our mapping of how roles, groups, attributes, and data level governance work together in Domo. Thanks for staying with me and watching this video on administering your secure Domo instance. Data is an asset, data can be approachable, and data security should be both an asset and approachable by BI and data leaders. I hope you enjoy learning more about managing data assets in Domo. I'll see you next time.